Hello.
Mm, We're
Hello,
live.
TGT family. Hello, Chris. You hear me?
Hey Seth, pretty good. We
Okay.
know we know your condition. First of all, congratulations, or if you're a Jew, Mazal Tov. I heard that your sister had a baby, so congratulations. I see that you're in a
Yes,
new
she
spot
just had a
over there.
baby,
That's,
so
that's probably has something
yeah,
to
I'm
do
just
with it.
visiting.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm here
good,
visiting. And
very good.
everyone knows that sees that Asaf is not here, so wishing Asaf all the
Right.
best also. But we
Yes.
carry on. Hello, world, and Crystal over there in Australia, and Raymond in Kentucky, and Southern Sass from Little Rock, and Julie in Utah, and Mihaela from Romania. Incredible. Isn't it fascinating how we don't get like, 1,000 people from like New Jersey? It's like one from every single part of the world. I'm constantly amazed by where everyone's coming from. Rex from Vancouver. So, hello, everyone who is with us today. Exciting show today. I really am sad that Asaf is not here with us because he always
He's
brings
also
so much
sad.
incredible insight. As we were preparing for the show today, by the way, first let's tell you who we are. This is the great transition. We are students of the Kabbalist, uh, Dr. Michael Lightman, and we are looking at what's going on in the world on this show through the lens of the wisdom of Kabbalah. So that's what we are doing here. Um, as we were coming up with topics, what we were going to talk about this week, every topic that Chris and I brought up, we're like, nah, we should save that for when Asaf's going to be here. Nah, we should save that for
It
when
was hard.
Asaf's
It
going to
was
be here
hard
because
to find
it's
stuff. Yeah.
so fun to bring him into the conversation. So listen, everybody. Uh, and we have I got the chat open here on my phone next to me. So if we can make it a little interactive, if there's some insights or questions or something, we can see how we can include that as well.
Sure. Absolutely.
We are in very, very unique times. We've been talking about it. We started the show when we went into lockdown, COVID lockdown about 2.5 years ago. And now it seems like we're aiming towards, or the world is headed towards a world war or something like that. Hopefully, we'll be lucky enough to avert such a war. It will take a lot of intention, and we'll talk about that today. Um, and it's not clear if because what has to happen is the heart has to change, and the heart, if it's not able to change by heart means the feelings inside. If it's not able to change by its own, so then it changes through external pressures. By its own, I don't mean individually, but if we're not able to be around people, sync up with people who can develop those feelings of a new way that life can be. So nature has no problem, as she's been doing for a few billion years, pushing us through pressure. So hopefully we are able to avert this war. Nevertheless, there are other issues that are still pressing. One of them, a very big issue we're dealing with, is food crisis. It's too bad that the marketing team that got us all to buy into COVID prevention, they should all get behind war prevention. But that's also a bigger problem we'll talk about. So, um, the war in Ukraine and Russia is causing prices of food to soar, causing price of fuel to soar, fertilizer to soar. There's almost 400 million people that are facing food insecurity in 80
400
countries.
million?
Like 400 million. Yeah. That number, so that if, depending on what website you look at, the numbers vary a little bit, but in the last 2 years, that number has, since 2019, that number's got 100 and something million in 40 countries to, or 50 countries to almost 400 million in 80 countries.
It's really amazing how
I
how if you're not in one of those countries, you don't feel it. Doesn't matter how many headlines you can read, you just don't feel it. You just don't feel that. You could see, even keep mentioning World War III every single day, and don't feel it. Even if I try to, I just
It's something that is so weird. I was in New York at the beginning of the week, and I'm in Los Angeles now, and you see, Teslas and sports cars going by, and you see just homeless people picking stuff out of the trash, like so
Just a clash
such
of
such a
just
clash.
different
Yeah.
different realities. Yeah.
So I've seen some statistics that say up to 800 million people are facing food insecurity. So food insecurity, most of these people who are in this situation, it's defined as having less than $2 and change, $2.15 a day. Not a lot. That's why you can see people out here like pulling bottles out of the trash can to recycle them.
Right.
So what do we need for so and people are there's tens of millions of people who are like a meal away from death, like living on the edge of famine. So what do we need to have food? Land, water, sun, um, earth. Is there a
We pretty
planet?
much
Is there a place we could think of that has land, water,
don't
and
we
sun?
have all that?
Can you
Right.
think of
Okay.
one?
Oh,
Can
that's
you
where
think
you're
of one?
getting at.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so if we happen to find the one known planet
Mm,
in all of the universe that has all of those things and can produce food in abundance
mm,
without any problem,
mm.
maybe it's the next problem. What about distribution? We would need highways, airplanes, vehicles, ways to pack things. How about that? Do we have that? Machinery. Do we have that? Yeah,
Right. I think we do
yeah. We
have
have
that.
we have
Yeah.
that also. Okay.
That's a check.
40%, you get it where I'm going, right? So 40% of the food in the US is wasted. It's over 100 billion uh, meals. Now, we're on this show. We use the news to highlight things. It's not a news show. We're not talking about politics. We're not talking about this side is screwing up or that side is screwing up. We're talking about what's going on behind all that. But it's interesting to lay out what nature is showing us, what life is showing us.
Well, because it's
Global
easier to
military
ignore it
spend.
too. I mean, you could just not care, also. So it's like you're either getting some kind of news where you either don't care but you know what's happening, or you do care and you want to know what's happening. So here we don't, not necessarily that we care how it's happening, just that it's happening, and how should a person relate to it? If you want to relate to it, how should we? That's kind of the question, yeah.
So we talked at the beginning that the whole thing is about emotion, to get our emotion there. So this is through these things, if we kind of remain numb, we don't have the powers, the force that it takes to rise to another level, to a spiritual level. But all of these things create tension for us to push us to search for something. So what is the problem here? Let's put another statistic on the table. Global military spending is over $2 trillion a year. So there's no shortage of money. No shortage of money. There's no shortage of land. There's no shortage of water. There's no shortage of sun. There's no shortage of trucking. There's no shortage of highways.
Okay.
So just digest that for a minute, okay? The world does not have a resource problem. None. If it's not this resource, it's that resource. There's no problems with what's going on Earth. Think about it for a second. Now, Chris, I sent you a video before we started. I'm on a tablet here, so I'm going to ask you if you could play it. But I want everyone to now digest this gigantic problem we have of food shortage, hundreds of millions of people starving. When Okay, now sit with that for a minute. We're going to play. This is kind of for a little entertainment value, but I think it drives home what we're talking about. I'm going to show a video that came across my news feed here about a fishing competition. Fishing, like you go fishing. So there's something happened in this fishing competition. Chris, can you show it to us?
Yeah,
Make it
let's
full
see what's
screen
going
if you
on here.
can.
Oh, what is this? 4 or 5? There it is. That's about as full screen as it's gonna get. But
Okay, so hopefully everyone can see it.
I hope you can hear it
Fish.
too. I'm just gonna press play. Here we go.
Okay. No, we can't hear it.
Can't hear it? Yeah, that's something me and Asaf didn't set up. Is there
Okay,
maybe you can just do like a voiceover at the
I'll
same.
explain it. No, I'll explain. Okay, well, yeah, play it. Play it.
Oh, actually, I'm hearing it,
There's
so
a
I could
fit.
say there's a lot of screaming. Oh, a lot of screaming. Like very angry screaming. Call the
What's
cops.
going
That's
on here?
theft. There's a lot of people gathered, and they're all kind of talking over each other, but they're all very excited. Some guy just screamed, "You should go to jail." Oh, that's a bucket of fish we're looking at. How many
Okay,
tournaments have you done this at? Okay, so it's a fishing tournament, and this
fishing
guy's cutting open the
competition,
fish. Yeah, okay. He's cutting
and
open. Oh,
inside the
he's pulling out
fish,
some metal weights. He's pulling out some metal. He
lead
said, "Check
balls.
every fish."
Yeah,
Okay.
that, that that's it, Chris. You could stop it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I
basically,
was
what
getting into
happened
it.
was there was a fishing competition. I wish you could hear it because there's
Yeah, yeah. It's
people
very
are very
emotional.
serious. There's a fishing competition, and the guy who wins a bunch of money.
Ah, it's
What's
about money, of
happening
course.
is
Not just
yeah,
pride,
it's
but
it's
also
it's for
money.
sport, right? But what's happening is when this guy is catching the fish and bringing them onto his boat, he's stuffing lead weights into their mouths. Okay, so one of the fish actually, he stuck for like a slice of fish. I guess he didn't have enough weights, so he just cut up another fish and shoved it into the mouth of another fish, and they pulled that out of the belly.
Very nice.
The point is, everybody, and so it turns out he was winning these competitions and winning a lot of money, but he was winning it by putting, by
Cheating.
cheating.
He's
Now,
cheating.
if the reason why it stood out as so funny to me or so tragic to me, it's like even a fishing competition. It's like everywhere we look, people are trying to screw each other, or people are screwing each other everywhere we go.
Just
Ladies
no
and gentlemen,
consideration. Yeah, there's no such thing.
everybody, no consideration. We don't have any problems on earth. It's just that everybody is dumb. I know maybe it's not a nice way to say it.
Wait a second. What are you saying?
What I'm trying to say is that everything we need to have an incredible life for everyone, and not even that, to rise to a spiritual reality, it's all here for us. It's all made for us. Now, of course, this is happening on purpose. Of course, it's intentional so that we'll feel this way and want to escape from it. But it's very, when you start to reframe what's happening, we can look at all of these problems in a totally different way. Oh, we need to send money. They put a little thing outside of my office, that you can put some cans of food, you know, cans of food. What are we going to do? It's nothing compared to this problem. It's a tiny
Nothing
drop
compared
of
to the.
water.
How much did you
It's
say we're
huge.
throwing away? How many
Hundred,
tons are we throwing away? And they want
hundreds
cans.
of million, a
Yeah,
hundred, yeah, 100. What did I say? I don't
I
remember what
thought
I
I heard
said. A
100
lot.
million tons. I thought I heard that.
A
Um,
lot, a
yeah.
lot. So there's no shortage of anything. The problem is us. The problem is that we're not sharing, not sharing like I have to take out of my pocket, but just our whole economic system, the way that we live together is not set up for each other to help each other. And this is where we are. This is why we're in wars. This is why people are starving. This is why we have a crisis in education, uh, crisis in the home. Is because of this. We don't have an issue with oil. We don't have an issue. Yes, of course. Right now, we're at a critical moment. People will freeze this winter in Europe because they don't have
I
oil.
heard
But
they're
it's not a problem that there
stockpiling
isn't oil.
firewood over there. They're even, I don't know, go out to your backyard, get as much firewood as you can, and they're just hoarding as much firewood as they can.
Yeah, I heard in one of the Scandinavian countries they were talking about making a blanket tent in your house to stay warm
Mm.
during the winter, like
Wow,
putting a bunch of blankets
that's
and staying under them together.
serious. Yeah.
Uh,
So basically,
yeah,
what you're saying
it's
is, basically what you're saying is, whenever we see on the news, well, actually, here I've even got a thing. I'll just show you. Like, whenever I read something like this,
oh,
grocery
it's
shortages.
mirrored. Hold on, it looks
That's
mirrored to
mirrored
me.
now. Okay, so I'm gonna see it mirrored
Yeah,
for for some reason. 1 second, let me just switch
Oh, now I
that
see
guy.
behind the scenes.
You will.
Okay.
Wow, that
There we
looks
go.
backwards to me. So basically, it's saying grocery shortages. Okay, so whenever we see headlines like this, butter will be harder to find, but that's not all. It's like saying butter's the cows are the problem, kind of like the supply, or I don't know, the what else do they have here? Yeah, of course you see the baby formula, because that one's actually really scary. But you have like a list. Look, this is news, right? You have an article, and then you're going through the article, and you're saying these are the things that are going to be harder for me to get, right? Beer, oh, ketchup, oh, my life is every scroll down a little bit, you feel your life's the ability to enjoy is dwindling a little bit. Baby formula, okay, that's
Okay, hold
serious.
on. Go back to number 3 for a second.
3, baby formula.
Number 3, baby. Okay, so let me ask a question here. Wouldn't it be amazing if a mother somehow, if nature designed it, that when she was feeding her child, her newborn, she would hold the newborn close to her heart so that they would feel warmth and bond? And wouldn't it be amazing if a mother's body was able to produce food that it could? Oh, wait. Oh, it can.
You know what that reminds me of? It
what
reminds
is
me of
what
Wall-E.
is baby formula? What is a shortage of baby formula? I don't understand. So
That's actually a really
the,
good point.
the mother
Yeah, that's actually a great example.
produces food for her baby, and not only that, the baby would be close to the mother's heart, and there would be some kind of emotional bonding. But instead, you would have to spend money on something that comes in plastic or something that comes in metal, and then you would feed that to the
That's
baby that's made
exactly
in
what.
some laboratory. And there's no way that it could possibly contain all of the nutrients that the mother could give it, all the
Well,
micronutrients.
this is exactly the where you get swept into this reality with a perception. There's a shortage in these things. It's the food problem. It's somebody else's problem. They need to band-aid that little this little supply chain issue, this logistics issue. They need to whatever it could possibly be. The gut reaction, the knee jerk reaction, like Asaf always loves saying, is it's some other problem that we need to fix. But really, it's so close to us that the problem is just we don't know how to take care of each other. And of course, it sounds so like, I don't know, childish maybe even to say that we don't know how to take care of each other. Like kindergarten. How many times you hear be nice to your friends or whatever, and then when you grow up, it's just kind of disregard that. But actually, when you grow up and you disregard that, these are the problems that you encounter. And then you say, no, it couldn't possibly be because we don't know how to treat each other. It's another problem. It's a problem of supply chain, or it's a problem of this farmer didn't get enough money for his peppers, and so he couldn't distribute them or whatever. It's always some other problem, but really the only problem that exists is the way that we don't know how to treat each other to make sure that everyone has the things that they need. That's
Debbie's laughing
it's
that
a
we're talking about breastfeeding.
we have no place. We just
We
have
both have
we have no
kids,
right.
Debbie.
We have no right. Right.
No,
Oh, look at
come
this.
on.
Tampons
We
is
both
another
have
one.
kids.
Popcorn, bread, pet food, turkey. I mean, the quality of life is really going to go down from what I understand. So that's just a way.
So
That's just kind of like a new way
it's
of looking at it, right? That's what you're trying to say.
the news headline shouldn't say South Sudan uh, facing food crisis. The headline should say nobody gives a crap about South Sudan.
Right.
That's the problem.
Yeah. That's what it
That's the
should
problem.
say. Right. But no one actually wants to hear that. It's
The-
like, oh, come on. Yeah, I know, but I do care. Or it could even just say, you guys. It could just say, alert one of on the news site. The top leading story. You don't know how to treat each other. And then if you would, we don't know how to treat each other. I don't care what problem popped up. I don't care if there's no problems. I don't care if there's no food over here. I don't care if there's a hurricane over there. It doesn't matter what it is. As long as we're caring for each other, then those things kind of just propagate out and just take care of themselves. That's just how it is. I mean, you don't even have to really. You can even look inside your family. If you have like a problem, I don't know, the kid is, I don't know, hyperactive and he's mistreating other kids in class. If you don't even have to attack that problem specifically. You just need to
Mm-hmm.
increase the love and the feeling of acceptance and the family, and those things just kind of like fade away by themselves. They treat themselves. You just copy and paste that to the rest of the world. That's what you have.
Right.
You just can't expand
Right. You look at
beyond the borders of your
we,
family.
we look at crime, for example, right? We need more jails. We need more cops. No, the first thing we need is for kids to feel loved, right? Like there's a school shooter. So okay, we're gonna put locks on the doors, and we're gonna teach all, what they teach the kids in the school in my town now is how to hide, and how to, get behind the desks, and how to bar the door when the school shooter comes in. That's what they teach the kids.
Yeah.
But no child who feels loved and feels meaning in his life is going to shoot anyone. Now,
I mean, you have
today, you have
the
to,
outliers who have like actual
fine,
serious.
fine, fine, I'll buy that much.
Yeah,
But you don't
okay.
have an epidemic of school shooters.
No.
You don't have an epidemic of crime. When people feel loved and cared for, all, like, as you're saying, all those other problems that, oh, what's going on over
Sorry about that.
there? All these other problems that we see are trickling as a result. And one of the the place. What does this have to do with the wisdom of Kabbalah? The wisdom of Kabbalah talks about the the connection of all reality. That there is a degree that all reality is connected. Uh, Worms living in the ground don't sense that, and horses sense other horses. You walk past a horse, it knows if you have good energy or bad energy. Horses can sense this. All animals know, feel things. Birds know when there's going to be rain or something like that, but no other creature besides us can feel everything. We have the
Hmm.
ability to feel the whole system. That's what the wisdom of Kabbalah is coming to bring to us. Is, first of all, explain the system to us, how that infinite light cascades down. What are all of the layers of concealment? Why are the layers of concealment there? On the layers that we can give you a little hint if you haven't been through the courses of Kabbalah yet. The reason why all of the concealment is there is because otherwise we would feel we have no free choice. It would just be like a horse or any other creature. So we feel separate from all of that. But now it's our time. Everything has been prepared for us, for this generation, to now learn this wisdom and together apply it and reveal this new connected reality. Whew.
That's
I got a
interesting that you
million
said
places we
that.
can go from here.
Yeah, so let's go there. We have a couple places we could go. It's interesting that you said that we're kind of in charge. I don't remember how you said it. We're in charge. We're starting to like be in control. We can control the whole thing. It's almost this feeling of like we see the damage that we're doing, but we we see maybe that we're not treating each other well. I keep going back to those clips that of like in Walmart and there's just these like hordes of people running, taking things, beating it. It just really looks like just brute caveman like behavior. And of course you're not blaming those people, but you're as an observation you're saying this is like the low. This is like as low as we can go. So you have these kind of like manifestations of this behavior that's just like pure just disregard, really just disregard, and on every level and everything, but we're choosing to ignore that part of it. We're choosing, it's like, yeah, we could do that, but let's go ahead and try something else. Let's go ahead and, I don't know, make some new law or have some new agreement or something else. It's like we're at this time, we're at this place where like we know exactly what it needs to be treated a little bit, but we're ignoring it. And I don't blame anyone who's ignoring it because they don't have the method, they don't have the I feel even the understanding of what direction to walk in to start even to start the correct healing process. But there is this kind of thing in the air of we're kind of chipping away at our time that we have left before something really does explode if we don't actually address the situation. And that brings me to some interesting research that we I think last week maybe I saw. gamers, online gamers. Let's see. Maybe I should send. Let's see. Let's try this. So researchers demonstrate brainwave synchronization without physical presence. What does that mean? Well, first of all, look at this cool graphic. Doesn't that make you think, like, doesn't that make
Love
you
it.
feel like this is actually happening? Yeah, they added those like cool colors and like lightning things, but I mean, according to what they said, that's the kind of stuff that's actually going. That's the kind of stuff that's actually going on. So, there's a couple of quotes here. Where was it? So here's what he said. So interbrain synchronization during cooperative online gaming. So that basically is just saying I'm playing a game with another person. We're like in the same game playing together, but we're in different locations. We're actually physically, I'm in a location, he's in a different, they're in another location, different location, like physical location, right? So what they found was this can occur without the presence of another person. So that was kind of like the main thing, that there's one person in one room, another person in another room, and they're measuring things. They don't really get into a lot of details in this article, but they're basically measuring this synchronicity that they have between them. It says increased
So they're both playing the same game
the
in
same game,
non-local places, two
non-local,
different
exactly,
places.
exactly. So
Remind me,
increased.
remind me about this Nobel Prize actually, because I think it's related to this
I
that
heard
just
about
came out.
this
So keep
too.
going. But
So
okay,
increased synchrony in the alpha and gamma frequency bands is connected to better performance. So they're measuring alpha bands and gamma bands. I don't know what that is. You don't need to know what it is, but you're basically, it's just these frequencies that your brain generates, right? And whenever those were synced up, each player had better performance. So that's basically the bottom line of the article. But what is funny, and they saw that this is better performance, and they measured it over and over and over. Like, oh, it's better perform. Like, where were they better performing? Whenever their brain waves were synced up. So you
so
don't
hold
really
on,
need to
just to get
know.
the facts.
Yeah,
Two people playing a video game in two different places, but because they're playing the same game, the research looks like their minds are somehow synced.
they're monitoring the brainwaves of one person and the brainwaves of another person, and it's also on a scale of time. So when the brainwaves are happening, it's also being measured on a certain time, and when they sync up, like the brainwaves somehow sync up with another ones, according to the time function, that's whenever they also saw better performance. So so continuating a continuation of that article, they had the people who were the researchers who were part of it. I think one was in Helsinki. So there's a university in Helsinki, and you can see that it's like they know that this is important. Like, wow, what does this mean that our brain waves are syncing up? Like, where does this even what does this even mean? This can mean so much, that we're somehow our brain waves are connecting. So they can say, one of the project managers said, if we can build interactive digital experiences which activate fundamental mechanisms of empathy, it can lead to better social relationships, well-being, and productivity online. So it's great that they feel this kind of like importance, right? They feel like this, oh, okay, this is good. Somehow we can like sync up and make good out of it. But it's almost like they don't really know how to use it, right? They look what we found. Like, this is important. Our brain waves are syncing, but they don't really know how to implement it. Same thing that we talked about before. They don't really know how to implement it or what it means. It doesn't. They just don't know what it means, but they know that it's important. Another person said that another researcher said that measures of psychological synchrony and cooperative performance might be used to assess the quality of social interaction. So again, they're touching on all these points, and they're saying, hey, whenever our brain waves sync up, this actually improves not only performance during a game, but also social interaction. So they're touching
You
on all
see
these
this with
points.
all the greatest sports teams. There's magic. A guy, on a basketball team, like passes the ball behind his back. He just kind of,
Yeah,
they just know even without their
it's the same thing. Yeah,
eyes.
you showed last time. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, right. We saw that last. Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So it also happens like with like Netflix series and things. Like a certain series. Remember when what was that one, that
Squid Game.
Korean one, South Korean
Squid
one
Game.
came out that we were all talking about? We even did a show about it.
Squid Game.
Squid Games. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like when a new show comes out, and it's like in the collective consciousness, Um, I was taking an elevator. I told you I was in New York at the beginning of the week, and so there was a
Right.
little TV in the elevator that kind of like rolls news stories. It
Yeah.
said that there's a show, the Queen, the royalty, the royal. I don't know what it's called. Something about Queen Elizabeth's life or something like that. Um, but uh, but viewership of that show on Netflix or wherever it's streaming went up like 300% after the Queen's
After
passing.
she
Like
after she died, right?
so
Yeah.
something so the kind of collective consciousness goes into something and then has a story there. Like if all of the stories, for example, um, let's take China. So let's take the West. We have Adam and Eve, just traditionally, right? We have like the Bible and Adam and Eve, for example. In China, there is no Adam and Eve. It's Buddhism. I'm just talking very, very generally. So as you grow up, you have different models of how to fit things that are happening in life because you have these kind of different archetypes that you're given. So the same thing happens with shows and with bravery and with nobility and the kindness. We see these characters in shows, and especially when it becomes a popular show, and these become, what we think of as how to be a man, or what we think of as how to be funny, what we think of as how to be sexy, and then everyone is syncing up in these things, and that's what the what's the most popular Netflix show now, or one of the most popular ones?
I do. They say number two.
Dahmer one.
Yeah,
Is
they
it
say
two?
number two. Yeah, that's number two in
So
English.
could
Yeah.
you? So it's about a guy who
I mean,
drugged people
it's a
and
true
ate
story.
them.
It's a true story. Yeah. Well, first of all, I haven't watched it. You didn't watch it, did you?
I didn't watch it either. I don't have the
Yeah.
stomach
It's.
to.
First of all, I've seen enough of that kind of. But first, before we even talk about that, it makes you think. Like you said, it's this kind of collective gets into it, like Netflix or whatever. The brain research that's just has to do with playing a video game, or like you mentioned, on the court, basketball court, where you just like sync up. So it's like this, there's this kind of something that exists that we can't, it's untangible, we can't feel it, but somehow you tap into it, like the starlings, when they do their murmuring, right, and they all move at once, they're tapping into
Yeah,
one thing, right? It's there, you can't really see it. We're also, when we're playing video games, we're tapping into some one thing that we're syncing up. You can't see it. You can measure it, I guess, somehow, but you can't really see it. So just extrapolate that a little bit, and what have you got when it comes to what media you're consuming? Because really, what you're consuming on the outside kind of like feeds into this and spreads out. If it's there, if it's somehow this mind that we're all connected to a little bit, disconnecting to it, maybe not disconnecting, engaging, not engaging. Somehow it's always there. But if it's there, and we're putting this certain kind of media, and something becomes viral, then we're all connected to it, right? That's what happens. But when you talk about something like Dahmer, for example, that's what this show is called. Talk about something like Dahmer, where really it's just this.
in case
First of
somebody
all,
doesn't
it's
know, just give a one word.
yeah. First of all, it's a mini series about a true story about a serial killer who just had basically just like really sick desires that he wanted to carry out, of like bringing in young males, and then of course like doing like sexual things with them, and then killing them, and then like cannibalizing them, and just all kind of like gross things. Basically the series is spotlighting these terrible aspects of the darkest places of human nature. Basically, I mean, that's what it's doing. I mean, what else? What I mean, give me
Picking
another
people up,
thing.
drugging them, taking them back, torturing them, and eating
But
them.
that's the series. You're just watching you're watching that story kind of unfold. And you could say, well, why is it important? Why is it entertaining? Of course, you have an answer for any of those things. It's entertaining. It's interesting to see how other people. But still, instead of kind of encouraging. Let's say, for example, we live in a great world where we're encouraging the triumph over our own nature, our own egoistic nature. Instead of saying like something like that, you basically have the exact opposite, which is you're promoting the disregard for one another, right? I mean, that's basically what you're doing. You're promoting. You're saying, Listen, I'm not judging the show either way, but I'm looking at it like this: that it could either be one or the other. It's either something that's positive, which would promote, some kind of good idea in society, or it could be negative, where you're just reflecting on something that happened, a few tens of years ago, and basically wallowing. You're basically wallowing in our enslavement to this thing that we cannot get out of, which is just disregard for one another. Oh yeah, he
And
disregarded
making
one
everybody
another
feel so anxious and making everyone feel so uncomfortable
because
because
that's
you're
what's in the
then
because
you
that's what
go
it
to dinner
is.
afterwards and it's in you, and then you go out and you go to
It's
class or go to
in
work and
you.
those feelings are still
It's
in you.
on you, right? It's on you. That's what you mean, right? That you're just like carrying it
Yeah.
around a little bit, like the stench of the feeling. Kind of like when you wake up from a bad dream and it takes a few minutes for you to like kind of, you know, get into what's actually real life.
So Chris,
So
the
yeah.
brain sync, we sync with
So
that vibration kind of penetrates us, and um
that's what I'm saying. You can't ignore that there's not some kind of sync happening, and that's what's spreading among us. This like this instead of something else being important between us, this is important. And what is it? It's this kind of like a negative highlighting of disregard for one another, and that's what we're kind of like praising. That's what we're saying. Like this is good. Number two show. It's the number two show. I get that it's like wow, that's crazy that there was some kind of thing. But you know what happened? When I got into the show, didn't watch it, but I was like researching it a little bit. Like, why is this number two? The thing that I found myself reading more about were the victims' families, who of course are still alive, right? I mean, it wasn't that long ago. So the
wow.
victims' family are still alive, and they, of course, they don't even want to watch it, but they're saying like, wow.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
I mean, like, look at how. Look, it's not like you can't. It's not fair to say that people are praising this serial killer, but you do kind of have this feeling. Imagine that you're a family member. Imagine you're a mother. Your son was one who was murdered, right? And you're watching this guy get a bunch of attention, not praise. That's probably not correct to say, but just attention. The attention is on the murderer, and the attention is not on the sorrow that the mother felt. And one of the quotes was like, "It
Hmm.
just hurts. It hurts a lot that he had to die that way." And now it's just like it's like a tear. It's like we talked about earlier, where it's like, yeah, we know that this is kind of like not the right thing to do, but we just can't stop it, right? So, anyways, it was hard. It was hard to even read what the families were feeling as a part of that. Um,
Go to the do you have anything on the Nobel Prize? I can just explain a little bit from what I remember. So there was
just
a
talk about.
if
We
you
want to talk
has
about it in another show anyway. So just yeah, highlight it.
okay, just bring it up because it's related here. A Nobel Prize was given, which is a huge prestigious award, given to some guys who proved, however they proved, non-local. What's it called? Um, I don't even know what it. But let me tell you in layman's terms. That's how I understand it. Something happens here. Something happens, a couple, far, far, far away, but it happens at identically the same moment, and they're reacting to each other. So normally we
Entanglement.
would think it.
You're talking
Oh
about
yeah, thank you. Quantum
entanglement. Yeah,
entanglement. So
we've
normally we
mentioned it
would
on the
think
show a few times.
In Newtonian physics that like, you know, you hit this ball, which hits this ball, which hits this ball. Everything, or the wind blows and that pushes the sail and it moves the boat. There's some kind of connection we can see in the material realm. What this new science is showing, it's not brand new, but this person just won a Nobel Prize for it, is that something that happens here affects something that happens far, far away there instantaneously, actually, in the same way that the player's playing the video game. There's no phone connection between them or something. They're both playing the same game and their brains are synced up. Or people watching the same Netflix series,
Hmm.
they're all going through something similar. Now, we can bring in something very fascinating from the wisdom of Kabbalah here. And this is why science is going to have a problem understanding. This is why science does have a problem understanding what is the brain and how does it actually work. The brain is like, what is it, a modem? The information exists in the field. The light never changes. All of the information exists in the field depending on the state of our hearts and our minds, that determines what frequencies we pick up from the field. Now, of course, you could train a chimpanzee or its whole life. It can never get to what we're talking about because it didn't have the luck of being born as a human. But if you are a human, you are lucky because you have the kind of heart and mind that's required in order to tap in to this field. We can see it in the study of how the Sefirot work, that how the upper Sefirot receive this information and then pass it down. So basically what we see, whether it's the food crisis, whether it's the wars, whether it is any of the myriad of problems, it's just like it's all synchronized moves, just like the guys playing the video games, but it's synchronized moves of a terrible game. That's all we're doing. We're all synchronized and we're playing a bad game. We need to just change the game that we're playing. That's where our solution will come, everyone.
Well, that's very interesting because the what's the why did I just forgot the Nobel
Quantum
Prize, there it
entanglement.
is. No, the Nobel Prize. So it's been, I mean, it's been known for many years, this whole thing. Even Einstein talked about it a long time ago, right? And then from then it just kind of developed as
Wait,
like
what
theories.
did Einstein called it? Spooky coincidence of the distance or something? Spooky
Spooky
motion of
action. Spooky action. I
Google
don't
it.
know, but I'm sure it was translated from German. But now it's proven. They proved it, which is why they received a Nobel Prize for it, because they found a way to prove this thing. So now instead of just being some theory that you can't really build off of anything in the real life and in the real world, now you have this fact that you cannot ignore, that things are connected with all kinds of pipes and strings and
Einstein.
what.
Einstein says spooky action over ever greater distances.
I mean, that's we just proved it. So if science is proving it, what do you don't aren't you supposed to just build your entire reality like anew? Aren't you supposed to just demolish everything that we thought we knew until now? We start the humanity off of this one single fact, right? The scientific evidence of everything is connected and everything, but we can't see it with our eyes, and everything moves, with above space and time. All these things is like we have this fact, but we still can't change our world. We don't know how to change the world. We don't know what to change. How does that affect me? It's like that's
Okay,
some kind of reality that doesn't affect me, right?
so we're opening this up to everybody who's here with us. I'm gonna read something here from Scientific America. How could you use this now that you know that this is how the reality that you live in works? This is maybe easier than reading the study of the 10th Sefirot or the Zohar to start to understand about the nature of a reality. In this bizarre situation, an action taken place on, this is from Scientific America, taken on one of the particles can instantaneously ripple through the entire entangled assemblage, predicting the other particle's behavior, even if they're far apart. If an observer determines the state of one such particle, its entangled counterparts will instantly reflect that state, whether they are in the same room as the observer or in a galaxy on the opposite side of the universe.
Yet we still think that I have this is me. What I'm looking through right now, that's me, and that's it.
This is my reality.
That's it. And still, you still can't get out of it. That's hard. It's hard to accept, which is why every single day you have to wake up and remind yourself of the actual reality. How do you, if I'm waking up normally, I'm only thinking about how to fill my stomach and what's the most comfortable position to sit in. If I instead have some kind of like outside force that comes, maybe somebody, breaks open my door and makes me put on a t-shirt and then that says something on it. It makes me read a book that says something on it. Makes me put in some headphones that makes me listen to something that reminds me over and over and over and over again that the reality that I naturally want to exist in and have this natural kind of like flow, right, where I don't disregard, where I don't consider anything except besides myself. If I can somehow take a little bit of force, which really, in the wisdom of Kabbalah, we said that this is importance. Importance is a force, right? It somehow acts as a way for me to move my body if something's important to me. So somehow this importance has to come in from the outside, and that's what has to move me. We just have to, as a humanity, we have to recognize that that's the situation. And that's it. That's really kind of like the first step in all of it. Recognize that we're weak by ourselves and strong together. Of course, you've seen that probably in a bunch of movies. Well, sorry, my nose is like itching. I think I have one of these things. We've seen it in a bunch of movies. We're strong together, but weak, but we're by ourselves. But it actually means something when you juxtapose it with this new science, right? With the brain waves, everything. It's like let's just put all the evidence on the table and really try to figure out how to get out of this global food crisis, which we all know just means we don't know how to take care of each other. That's all it means. You just can't come on the news and say you guys don't know how to take care of each other because no one knows, right? No one knows how to do it, and no one can do it. Oh my nose is seriously. Sorry about that.
Moses was the greatest Kabbalist, but his book is the most, the Bible is the
Uh,
most misinterpreted book probably ever. So it's very difficult to read that book and understand uh, what is the force of Abraham, what is the force of Isaac, what are all these forces? How is it working? Because we read it like a history book.
well, it wasn't made
Um,
for us. We weren't supposed to read it really to take anything from it. It just stuck along because it was important. It just stuck along the way, and we kind of made our own reasons to why to hold on to it. But yeah, okay. So let's say I'm listening. Let's say.
so what we have there and what the Kabbalists are giving us through the Zohar and Baal Salam, through the study of the 10 Sfirot and all of his articles is to understand what's going on there. There's a structure there, open to all of humanity, everyone. Doesn't matter if you're red, it doesn't matter if you're yellow, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, green, purple. There's a there's something that's open to every creature. What is the only thing that distinguishes who it's open to at this point? Only the only thing is just who realizes it. Some realize it earlier, and others didn't develop enough to realize it yet. That's the only thing that's going on here. There's nothing racial. There's nothing religious. There's nothing socioeconomic that determines who can. I mean, here we are on YouTube. It's you could see 1,000 videos from our teacher. You can go buy any book of Kabbalah you want. There's nothing preventing us. What we're doing here is a small group of people with a teacher who are studying every day that the structure of reality that comes from these books. And then how do you implement it? How do you implement it? The issue is that one person by themselves is a small spark. You add another person who's a small spark, and you add another person who's a small spark. And at some point, you get a flame. And meaning, just like there was nothing wrong, there was nothing fundamentally different about the German people before World War II, and then the population became Nazis. It's not like they're predisposed to it. It could have happened in Greece. It could have happened in New Jersey. It could happen anywhere. It's what happens when all of a sudden there's your team is winning the Super Bowl and the whole town is excited, or let's go. Yeah, remember what happened here when during the Iraq War. It didn't. Nobody even knew why we were going to fight in Iraq. Nobody knew anything about Iraq. But everybody was tying yellow ribbons around the tree, and everybody was talking about it. And we were so patriotic, and because something comes over. What we're talking about here, and what we tried to point out in a kind of entertaining way, is all of these phenomena and how everything is prepared for us. And our next move as humanity is to add all of these little sparks together towards unity. Nobody here probably has the ability to go feed all of the starving people. But if there's a feeling, if enough sparks come together until there is some kind of flame, some kind of feeling, just like we talked about with the Netflix series or with the video game Synchronization, or today from the fishing about cheating, right? Everyone just feels that that's what they want to do. If some feeling comes over the population, smaller groups and larger groups and larger groups, that we need to behave a certain way, at least in our hearts to begin. Even if on the outside we start acting the same, but inside we start synchronizing with that field we talked about before that is unified and connected. Then some, just like the quantum entanglement, you here are connecting and thinking about this, and somebody else on some other part of the planet is going to start picking up on your that's really what I feel, Chris, when you talk, when we bring up quantum entanglement, or when you bring up this video game experiment about the mind syncing up. Immediately what I think of is this is how we're going to see good connections spread across the world, spread across life.
It depends on us, actually. We can make it seem like it's the news fault, or like Netflix for putting out stuff that, is only detrimental. On the other hand, really, detrimental is just it's just a way to push us farther and farther towards the edge of the cliff, where finally maybe we can look over the edge and see that, oh, okay. So before, like a waterfall, that's kind of a fun example. You're in a canoe or whatever, and there's a waterfall ahead, but you don't really see it's a waterfall. You just kind of hear it, and the closer you get, it's like really loud, and you can actually even see over the edge. All these things that are actually hurting us. It's really just a way to bring us closer to that edge, to where we can see where it is that we really are. So I consider it, well, Kabbalists consider these torments or suffering or something that's always pushing us towards the goal regardless. So it doesn't matter what it actually is, but the only people who can really react correctly the way that we're talking about reacting, which is not to expect the news to all of a sudden change their spin and say, guys, you need to fix the way that you're relating to each other. What do you mean you're throwing away 100 million tons of food every year? Let's just activate our care. Like, we have this like button that says like I care about other people. Let's like touch that a little bit and see what happens. Oh, all of a sudden you're whenever you're throwing the trash out, you're making sure that you're not dropping any trash on the ground, and whatever trash you see on the ground, maybe you're picking that up because you don't want somebody else to do it. All these, whenever you start care or love or all these things, it makes you think differently. Even in a family, think about what it means to be to hate everyone and to be mad at everyone in your family because you don't like the way, whatever it is, right? And how you see the house in that light with those glasses on, and then all of a sudden put glasses on of care. You see the house completely different, because you see the house as this mutual place where you all are kind of like under one roof, and everyone wants it to be nice for everybody else. It's just a completely different approach to reality. It's a different reality completely. So we're not expecting the news channel. You turn on the news channel, you're going to see those kinds of ideas flowing, but it is going to come from the people who feel that is the right direction to go. So if we're on this show and we're thinking and we're talking about what we're hearing from Kabbalah explaining to us what needs to happen, there's people on the show who also feel that there's some kind of truth in that wherever, and they want to participate. That's the participation, is just activating a little bit, pressing however much you can press that button of like care and concern, and that's just changes a little bit your reality enough to where you can take that little step forward. You see the things that have changed, what's changed in you. You probably see that you're a little bit more egoistic and you care a little bit more about yourself than you realized you did before. But along with that, you have the ability to activate that care button even more. And that's just kind of this left-right walking that we're doing all the time. So when you're sitting here at this show, we're about to wrap up in a minute. When you're sitting here at this show, you're hearing about these things that probably You've heard about it 10,000 times before, but at least you're just pressing that button a little bit more and a little bit more. And every time, like we heard in the show just now, that everything's connected. Okay, so when you do something, you're affecting that affecting the entire reality around you, even though we don't feel it. So whoever has a desire, whoever's connected to the show, they're just doing these things and going through the motions and just trying a little bit more each time. And really, that's all you can ask for. That's all we can really do. And that's why we try to come every week and just give that little renewal, even if Asaf's not here, to give a little renewal, to give a little, yeah, we do need this. Yes, that is what's lacking. Yes, we there is hope, right? Hope is kind of important here too. So I hope that we a little bit succeeded in doing that. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Is there anything in the chat?
Yeah,
I haven't looked at the chat one time.
there's so much in the
Go
chat.
ahead.
I got it open here. There's a lot going on there. There's something to keep in mind through all this, that look at who you were. I'm speaking to everyone. Look at who you were 10 years ago. I mean, I can't recognize who I was 10 years ago. And 20 years ago, no way. We're changing so much. We're learning so much. We're developing so much. So we're talking about an intelligence that created reality, right? Everything that science is discovering, and quantum entanglement is as advanced as it is, it's still just the beginning compared to what's we will discover, how magnificent and beautiful and harmonious the system of nature is. So in 10 years from now, we'll look back at today and realize how much we grew. So we can't, Chris, you're talking about doing these things. While we're doing these things, we can't just measure in our ego if it's, like, I was nice today, where's my payment? I was nice for a whole week, show me what, now pay me,
Yeah. Yeah.
to nature. So we also have to realize and feel the system we're in. We don't feel where the results are, because the results are specifically not in a place, not in an animal place. What I mean by an animal place is in our animal life. You climb the tree, you eat the apple. You dig a hole, you find the water. Like, it's all very mechanical there. But now we're talking about the network that connects all of reality, the network that connects all of our hearts. And that's not as clear. It's not as clear when I do something on that vibration, on that wavelength. Where are the results?
But that's
not
okay.
Clear.
But that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be, right?
So, because if every time I did something nice, I got a reward, we would end up just being oxes and donkeys and horses again, and we wouldn't be able to advance. So at the same time, we study the system. At the same time, we keep performing these actions in our heart mostly. And at the same time, we try and surround ourselves as much as we can with others who are doing it with us, so that when I've got the power on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but on Thursday, Friday, I got a headache and I can't stand it, but I get to connect with you guys and you remind me. And by this, like pistons, we keep each other up.
I love it. I love it. It's a different world. We're talking about a new reality. We don't know what it is. We just know that this reality is just not working. So we're gonna keep trying as many ways as we can to fix it. And if you feel like this is probably the way that it will be fixed, just keep going on. Just keep walking. Come with us. Join Kabbalah if you're interested in that, or just come here, or browse the videos. Do something. This nose, I'm so sorry. It's just nonstop itching.
You know what? It's funny. You keep
what?
rubbing your nose, and Patricia, one of our friends who's here with us all the time, says, my husband fell this morning and broke his nose. She just wrote that, and you've been rubbing your nose. Maybe you guys are quantumly entangled.
You can't say we're not. You can't say we're not. That's
Maybe
proven now.
You have nose energy for Patricia's husband.
It's a beautiful new world that we're heading towards. It's scary because it's not inside of our ego. We only know our ego, so fine. give me another world that I can put in here and I'll fine with it. But if it's outside of it, it's scary. But what the wisdom of Kabbalah is talking about is something beautiful and new, and something that fulfills all of humanity, fulfills you from the deepest parts that are empty within you that you don't even know about yet, to the to the smallest drop of pleasure that exists in this world. That it's there's nothing left for us to discover except for the right way to live with each other, and then exist, and then reveal why it is that we actually exist. So that's what we're here to do. Hopefully we got one little step closer to that this week, and maybe next week we'll try it again with us off.
So happy to have this conversation with you, and so great to see how active everybody is and how much everyone cares about each other in the probably the most generous chat on the internet and kind.
Right.
That's where we're headed, everyone, towards this unity between all of us. Everyone fits in a perfect way, in a harmonious way, and an end to all of these troubles that are just pushing us there. Great to be together, and we'll see you next week, 2 p.m. Eastern, next Thursday. Thanks,
Cool.
everyone.
We're just gonna do like a regular fade out, but that's what we got today.
Can
Bye.
we do it? Can we do music from here?
I don't know. I don't think there's a way to
It's
do
going to
it.
be a hard cut today? All
It's
right.
gonna be. It'll be like a kind of.
Together we pray. Try to rise above reason and hold on to your name. Finding love in the seasons without loving in vain. One heart and one soul with one desire, one goal, with one voice, one song, with one solution. All for one.